Well, welcome back. You're still watching Fut-Afrique. We're having conversations around the Africa Cup of Nations being hosted in the year 2025. All roads will lead to Morocco. Now, what I said before the break, Adelani, is as Africans, do we give in to the fight that Europe will always get it their way? Right? And most of the decisions that are made by FIFA will always favor them because they have the biggest leagues in the world.
Right.
And as Africa also, our players want to play there. So if it suits them, the rules are more likely to suit them. And I asked this in connection with the Africa Cup of Nations being played every 2 years.
Yes.
But most of the time, we don't get the dates that we want because it somewhat mixes up with the European leagues.
And I think it was quite interesting that you were saying, like, why can the Nations Cup be played at the same time
as the Euros?
The Euro Cup, for
because
example.
now everyone is available, right? It's after leagues have concluded.
Yes.
Everyone gets to play. There's no, oh, I'm not available because I've got club duty, Champions League.
Right.
No, that is done.
Well, I'm such a football lover. I don't mind whether it's 2 years, 4 years, just give me great football. And what I'm also trying to let you know is that Africa, we would always have it our own way when it comes to even like the European leagues, because our players come to honor their invitation to this competition most times. I know the clubs don't like it because in December is when most clubs in Europe are heating up. They need their African players, they need their Mohamed Salahs and all of that. But in recent times, I haven't seen an African player that didn't honor the invitation to play at the Nations Cup, because everybody knows that the Nations Cup is a very, very good advert for your skills.
I mean, well, I just don't have the names at the top of my head right now, but there have been players recently who have denied that invitation, right? And that's because they say they've got club duty.
In recent times, your Victor Osimhen.
Yes, obviously you'll have your stars, but there are those certain players who say that I'm still trying to fight for my starting lineup, my starting 11 position. Now you want me to be gone for a full month. By the time I come back, that's not going to happen.
No, but listen, in recent times, I'm saying we haven't really been starved of our stars.
Okay, fair, but
yes.
But it's also...
I think the most common tactic is to fake an injury. I'm not going to mention names. But
well, he is from the country that is called the land of pharaohs. If you read,
some players saying they're injured, then you see them scoring goals in Europe. That happens, but we haven't been starved of our stars in recent times.
If you're going to put it in a star perspective, then yes, I fully agree with you. Well, this is a conversation that can be ongoing. We can argue until our faces turn blue. How that will happen, I don't know. But as it stands, the Africa Cup of Nations is set to be played in the year 2025, and all roads will lead to Morocco. Now, as you know, Paris 2024 is around the corner, and this is a competition, the Olympics that is, that everyone wants to be part of. Morocco being one of the African teams that get to go play within the competition. They've been there for a number of years. And here they are yet again after 12 years making their return.
This is going to be their 8th appearance at the Olympics, and I must tell you that Morocco haven't really impressed me on the Olympic platform. They started in 1964. That was their first time in Tokyo. In 1968 in Mexico. You have a nice way of saying in Mexico. Anyway.
Mexico.
That one. Yes. And 2012 in London, they competed. 2004.
Oh, I'll never forget 2012. Banyana was there too.
Yes. And 2004 was their closest to actually get into the quarterfinal, but they were stopped by Costa Rica. They have some dangerous players in their ranks. I mean, we saw what their under-23 side did in the African Nations Cup. They beat Ghana 5-1. Every team...
Of course, anything that happens to Ghana is joy to you, right? Joy to you, your heart, and your countrymen.
Any team that can beat Ghana 5-1 must be great, for obvious reasons. But then they won the African Nations Cup 2-1. They beat Egypt in the final. That's to show you that they have some special players. El Zazoui, I'm not sure if I butchered the name, but El Zazoui, one of the dangerous players in their side, and 3 of their players actually made the AFCON under-23 players of the tournament, team of the tournament list. So it's to show you that they have a very good team, but can they do it at this stage? At the Olympics, they haven't been that prolific, to be honest with you. But at the World Cup, we saw what they did. You know, hopefully they played that style that they played in the Qatar 2022 World Cup when they hit teams on the counter. Maybe they could bring that approach and let's see what happens.
When it comes to Morocco and their under-23s, do you believe that they're doing enough? Because we're constantly going on about Morocco being the mecca of football lovers, Morocco investing so much into their football. Are we seeing it from development level, or are we just praising the national first teams that we are normally exposed to?
We spoke about Raja, right? Doing that well in their local league. And in the CAF Champions League next year, they're going to be there again. So something is happening in their local league and also their under-23 side. We saw what they did in the African Nations Cup that they hosted, the under-23 African Nations Cup that they hosted. You could see that they're investing in this football, they're doing everything right. For me, Moroccan football is going in the right direction. Never mind what happened in the Nations Cup. Very few teams can play South Africa at the moment. Yeah, Nigeria found out in Uyo.
So tell me about the inclusion of the overage players, and I'll call them overage players because they are over 23. Yes. What does that do for them? How important is it for them to be incorporated within the team that goes to the Olympics? Which is 3, I think.
Yes. Hopefully they're choosing the likes of Amrabat, Ziyech to help the youngsters because they bring the experience. You know, sometimes the team needs to calm down. Maybe it's the 90th minute, they're 2-1 up. And when you have that influential figure, that leader, just to calm the youngins down.
Do you start with the overage players, or do you have them on the bench?
For me, I would have them on the bench, but to come in at critical times in the match. Oh,
I agree to disagree. I would start. Remember, there's first-time jitters for most of them. I would start with the experience for someone, as we start from the first whistle. I mean, but we've got different reasons. I'd love to have this conversation, but that's where we're going to have to leave it. It becomes really interesting to see as to what's going to be taking place in Paris 2024. I know teams have already started showing us what they're going to be wearing at the Olympics, but as South Africa, for those participants who will be at the Olympics, those doing track and field, those who will be swimming, those doing gymnastics. There's so many sporting codes that are included within this spectacle, so we really, really can't wait.